Hi Pisces, welcome to my channel. It's Veroosh and this is your reading for the Venus Retrograde to direct video. So we're going to do tarot and astrology today. I did film this yesterday, but there was such a low pressure that I felt like the reading was kind of low vibe. It's not low vibe, it was just, I live in the temperate rainforest where it rains a lot and big clouds come over and the pressure just drops. So in the middle of filming that happened and I just went like the energy level went down. So so you have an extra reading if you're a member. So if you're a member, just go into the description. I've linked it down below. I'm also doing a members reading for these, but they're going to come out in a day or so. And they're not for the direct motion, more so we're looking at the spring, the early spring for love. So go check that out. It'll be available there when it's ready. And I'll let you know. I'll provide a link down below. Okay, so first off, we'll start with tarot cards. By the way, can you tell I figured out how to film on a lighter color? I'm so excited. Such an issue. So we have Page of Cups, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. That's just a general energy. This looks like a new beginning with love. And with Jupiter in your first house, you will be experiencing a lot of new opportunities in terms of love, just heart in many different directions. Now, this Venus retrograde is happening in your 11th house, and we'll talk about the astrology in a minute. But the 11th house has a lot to do with friendships and social relationships. And so therefore, Venus retrograde in the 11th house is a real spark for your social interactions. And so therefore, those two things, Jupiter in the first, Venus in the 11th, are working really well together. It's a sextile energy. So you have very good energy for connecting with people, people that you care about, more of the social circle type of connections. But in that social circle, you will find many good connections, including possibly love. So we'll talk about that astrologically in just a minute. The next two cards represent how you take your take on the situation. And by the way, this is the heart-shaped spread, so if you've seen it before, that's what I'm up to. But if you've never seen it before, then welcome. So this is Seven of Swords. It's ruled by Moon in Aquarius, and we are going to have a new moon in Aquarius within 2 days. So that's a little association there. You don't have to have Moon in Aquarius for this to be your card. Seven of Swords to me signifies that you're trying to edge away from circumstances that are not becoming for you. Now, this is a generalization, so it doesn't apply to everyone, but Pisces do have a tendency, ooh, you have the Ace of Wands, that's exciting. You have a tendency to be non-confrontational. So Pisces, you know, how you feel about people around you may be very much something that you keep private for a time. So it's not necessarily like an Aries or a Leo, or Virgo, you will tell someone how you feel about them just in an upfront way like that. Very often you will just let things go. And depending on how a situation is unfolding, you may start to begin to feel that some people are not for you, or that you don't feel so great about someone, or you know that a situation's not right for you. And so the Seven of Swords really reminds me of that quality, that I think that maybe over a longer period of time of several months, you know, 6 months, whatever, you may have already been distancing yourself from certain people and certain situations that are not so great for you. And this isn't like, yeah, I think distancing yourself because you feel frankly uncomfortable in their presence, or whatever they're bringing to you is not that great. So I think that you've been doing a lot of like, I want new friends, I want new connections. So you've been very much open to meeting new friends and making new connections. So this is my Nirvana quartz, which I bought from a Pisces, my friend who's a Pisces. She sold this to me, and they're usually really dark red, usually they're like less color, but this one's really nice and orange and dark. So that's really great. It's a really nice crystal. Anyway, so yes, we have this kind of freshness. You're ready for new relationships. And the Ace of Wands is signifying that you're looking for a fresh start in general. So this may be many layers in your life. You want new things. Some of you, the Ace of Wands does refer to intimacy. We're not supposed to talk about this, you know, in the, like on the main channel kind of stuff, but we can say intimacy, that's fine. So you may be feeling a drive towards being intimate with your partner, or, you know, finding someone to be intimate with, or just being intimate with yourself, or whatever you do. But there is going to be like a heightened desire at this time too. Okay, the second side represents your partner's feelings about the situation, or if you're single, or in general, just the environment around you. So let's see what kind of cards we get for that. So we have the Sun. Very, very happy time for Pisces. Those of you who will read yesterday's video, it was a happy reading too, and it didn't sound like it. So anyway, you guys can watch it. It's a good reading. I did a good reading, but I just decided to try it again. And so yeah, so we have King of Wands. If you are with someone, I think they're very happy with the relationship. I think that they're very satisfied, and there's an energy of coming back in. So if there's been emotional distance, or if you've been sort of, you know, doing your own thing a bit within a relationship, then you might see that person coming back. They've been doing a lot of reflecting on the relationship. So we have King of Wands here. They've been thinking a lot about you together, about where you stand. There's a real kind of deep thinking that's going on about the issue. Also, if you're single, so this is the other scenario. First scenario, if you're in a relationship, it looks like they're thinking the world of you. We have the Sun and the King of Wands. They're very interested or in a positive disposition. If you're single, there could be someone around who is thinking about you. King of Wands, especially in this deck, looks like he's contemplating, thinking. There's a party going on around him, but he's not paying attention. He's thinking about you, or about the person that he's thinking about. So all in all, this is the beginning spread, and it's kind of meant to symbolize the beginning of a situation. It feels as though you're probably distancing yourself some things in your life. There is something new coming in that you're excited for, or you're seeking something new. And overall, I think that you're open to new experiences. Whether it's your partner or the world around you, very positively predisposed, which means that if you want to find someone, or if you're out there looking, reach out, because it might be there for you to get. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to the tarot a bit and explain to you how Venus retrograde functions in your chart. Now, like I said, this is more Venus direct, because Venus turns direct on the 30th, so tonight at 1 a.m. Turns direct. But the most important aspects of Venus retrograde are actually now. So, you know, we'll look at the next several months, or like a month and a half together now. I am going to do a collective reading for this. So in terms of the astrology, I'll explain how that revolves in your chart, but to explain how all these transits work and how Venus retrograde works, watch for the collective. I think that's going to be out in a few days. I was going to put it out now, but I've decided to put it out like next week. So we're going to focus on Venus direct, but also Venus retrograde, how it ties in, the big concepts, and see where how that goes for us, okay? So if you are a Pisces sun, moon, and rising, this is for you. I know a lot of people are promoting rising only readings. This looks like your natal chart if you draw it, but it's not. It's a general chart. So don't necessarily confuse that with your natal chart. So do watch for your sun, moon, and rising. You can draw a chart like this for every single transit, so arguing over rising sun and moon is problematic. And then the second part is your individual chart may be more aspected on your sun or your rising, so it depends on your chart. For most people, the sun is the most important position, so it's fine. Just that's my take on it. Take it or leave it, but don't stop watching for your sun, because you'll miss important messages. So Pisces, sun, moon, and rising. I also am doing private readings by this link down below. I have a website, but it's down. So if you want to use the link down below, then you can get a reading with me. So that will be available. And then I'm doing shorts on Tarot Talk, which is a second channel of mine, which are short form videos under 1 minute. So you can go into the link down below. I think I'm going to migrate them over onto the main channel, but I just wanted to start to try. So if you want to go and watch the first few shorts with me on that channel, then go and hang out and stop by. Okay, so Venus retrograde. So Venus retrograde started on December 19th and is finishing on the 29th or the 30th of January. So you can already see here the S represents the word for station. That means that Venus is optically stationed. It's not moving direct or retrograde. So retrograde motion, as you may already know, but I'm just repeating it for those who don't, isn't that Venus suddenly turns in a different direction. Venus apparently moves in backwards order. So it's just apparent how we perceive it rather than what is. And so that's what the retrograde cycle is for Venus and Mercury and all the different planets that go retrograde. It's our perception of the planet. So when it's stationed, that's when it seems to stop. Almost like when wheels are spinning and once they're reaching a certain velocity, you know, they sort of apparently stop, but they're of course still moving. Similar kind of principle. Okay, so Venus retrograde started on the 19th and has just now finished. But it's this part that's most important. So the first thing that you want to do, since we didn't talk about it before, is take a look at what's happened in your life. Venus retrograde was in your 11th house. So this has to do with social relationships and it's a very lucky placement. The 11th house is the house of luck. So just take a look at the last month or so and see what kind of themes came up. Did somebody show up from your past to talk with you? Did you have an encounter with someone? Did you have a conversation? What was that about, and what kind of themes did that bring up in your life? That's going to give you an idea of the energy that Venus was working through for you specifically. Now let's talk about where things are going now. So as I'm filming, the moon is entered into Capricorn, and this is going to be a very special transit of the moon. The moon is in every single sign for 2.5 days. So that means that the moon will be in Capricorn until the 31st, right before the new moon on the 31st. So during this time, the moon will form aspects to all the planets in Capricorn. This will be altogether 7 transits together. This is very similar to the energy that happened in 2019 and 2020. And it's an activation point whenever the moon enters into a very busy area of the chart. It activates because it moves fast and it triggers through its conjunctions. Conjunctions meaning that it's in the same spot, triggers all these transits. So the moon is triggering all these transits now and will once again enter on the 25th of February and be in your 11th house until the 27th with a very similar situation. So you have 2 lunar aspects in Capricorn activating your social life at this time, Pisces. And so what is that going to do? Probably facilitate for you new beginnings or social relationships. You might see opportunities to connect with people. You might see, all sorts of different initiation energy coming in towards you, new opportunities. Be on the lookout through those weekends. So again, January 29th through the 31st and February 25th through the 27th. We'll talk about that more in the collective, but just know that for you, this is happening in your social life. And then if you work in technology in any way, also very, very lucky. So be on the lookout for things to do with that. What else has happened? Well, Mars entered into Capricorn on the 26th of January, so a couple days ago. Mars is exalted in Capricorn, so it's its strongest position. And so Mars is going to move up and form a conjunction with Venus as early as February 4th. Now I'm using a 2-degree orb, so the exact conjunction is February 15th through the 16th. But they will be essentially together from about February 4th, 3rd, it's relative, until about March 5th or 6th when Venus passes Mars. So they will essentially be back and forth together throughout Capricorn for the rest of January and February. And that's going to really spark up a lot of relationship things. Venus retrograde would have opened up social issues for you, Pisces. And now that Mars is with her once again, because they go back and forth in this really beautiful sequence that I'll talk about in the collective reading, now that they're together for this month, a lot of insights that you have gained about love, relationships, be they romantic or platonic, are going to come into action. So you'll have the opportunity to begin relationships, reform relationships, reconnect in a helpful way, go after what you want. So embrace this transit of Venus and Mars. To add to this, as they transit, they'll make a conjunction with Pluto. And so Pluto is also a very significant transit. That will be in February with that other lunar transit, February 25th through the 26th or so. The exact conjunction with Pluto is March 3rd or 2nd, so that will be significant. During that time, Venus conjunct Pluto is always an intense transit. Anything conjunct Pluto is intense. But Venus, Mars, and Pluto, and I think that Juno will be there as well, over the top intense transit in which things will really quickly evolve in terms of, like, let's say that you have a friend that you really want to connect with. When this happens, one thing will happen after another, and you'll see yourself connecting with that person. If there's conflict, then that conflict could escalate very quickly. So you need to know that Pluto will really magnify the intensity of whatever is happening in your social life. And around March 3rd or 4th, you'll see an outcome. And then Venus and Mars will enter into Aquarius together on March 5th at 0 degrees Aquarius. This is reminiscent of the Great Conjunction from December 14th, 2020, if you remember, because Saturn and Jupiter were at 0 degrees Aquarius. And so then Venus will finally pass Mars and edge ahead forward. So together, something is happening for all of us in terms of relationships, but for you, this really centers on your relationships with your friends, your social circles, or if you work in technology. Venus also rules money, of course, right? So money, success, those kinds of things. If you're in tech, it's something financial could be really coming through for you in a positive way. So very exciting transit. To add to this, right now, at the end of January, beginning of February, Venus will sort of hover in this position of 11 to 10 degrees. I've been describing it almost like U-turn of a car, because when you're driving with a car and you U-turn, that point at which you're turning, you're not moving forward faster, it's slower relative. So Venus is doing this massive U-turn here, essentially optically. Again, she's not actually switching direction. And so she's going to be in that same spot for a few days, and as she meets Mars. And so while in this spot, look at her, she's forming a beautiful sextile to Jupiter, who's edging up in Pisces in your first house. Sextiles are just awesome transits. So this is like one connection to another in terms of friends, things coming through for you, relationships coming through for you. It's all very good energy. Beyond that, Venus is also going to be trining Uranus. And so that is going to be a longer than normal transit as well. So usually Venus is really fast. So she makes almost like the moon, not as fast, but pretty close. So she'll go through a transit, pass through, another planet or another transit, and just carry on. Because she's moving in this retrograde to direct motion, all those transits, she's moving quite slow optically, and so it appears as though she's in one spot. This makes her hold these different degrees that she would normally just fly by within a day or two. She's going to be holding them for several days, and because of this, she's forming this trine to Uranus that's going to last until February 14th. So we have 2 weeks in which a lot of stuff's going to happen. Beyond that, Mercury's going to move direct on the 4th of February. Between the 4th of February and 14th of February, there will be a lot of things that finally fall into action. So if you feel like things have been stagnant, now is going to be the time when things move ahead. And Venus trine Uranus represents a different way of looking at things. For you, since Uranus is in the 3rd house, look to your siblings and cousins for alternative relationship things happening. So very good transit for your placements. A lot is happening at this time If you see here, Jupiter and Uranus are also forming a sextile. Sextiles are like magical keys for opportunity. So you have social doors of opportunity. In summary, because I've said a lot, you have social doors of opportunity opening up for you in every single direction. And so this is the time when you should really, take a look around and see what kind of opportunities are there. So let's clarify or look a little bit deeper and finish this heart-shaped spread. I just see for you new relationships or new possibilities and friendships, Pisces. Then we have the Queen of Wands, a Sag, a Leo, or an Aries, secondary transits in water, Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. So like I said in yesterday's video, if you guys watch that, the members, you'll know that you got this in the same position. And I think that's you. Pisces takes on a funny energy to me when you are very comfortable and very happy in whatever is happening for you. And then it's almost like a Queen of Wands energy. So I call it the fiery Pisces. So a Pisces, when they're feeling really good, then they're just glowing. And so I see you in that energy at this time. This position, by the way, represents what you're coming into. So this is kind of what is going on. This is kind of the next stage. Let's see the next message. We have the Page of Wands, a Sag, Leo. I just feel as though there's going to be people knocking on your door and really wanting your attention. Particularly fire signs, Sag, Leo, or Aries. They're being drawn towards you in a big way right now. Let's see the next cards. I took a really long time explaining the astrology, so, hang in there. We'll get through this, sorry. Then we have the Two of Swords, which is Moon in Libra. This is a further kind of deep dive. This is a clarifier, the next two cards of the energy. And then we have Aquarian energy in the Star. I feel as though good things are coming to you, Pisces. And I feel as though there's opportunities through your social relationships that are really happening at this time. Like I said, really pay attention to the timing that I mentioned during the astrology, because certain times are going to be better, and it's definitely improving at this time in terms of the energy frequency is going to improve until February 4th, and it's going to hit a very high energy by 4th through the 15th or so, and then will continue to be good right until March in terms of relationships, in terms of working things out. It really feels as though people are coming towards you, whether you are single or coupled. There's people coming towards you with good faith. And I think it's really time for you to distance yourself from problematic people, problematic situations, particularly things that have low vibration. I think you're ready for a fresh start. So the outside world and you are really ready for a fresh start. I think you're in the right mindset. Not all the things you're seeing are you're not seeing the full picture yet, the Two of Swords. You have a limited perspective, but much more is coming, which is the Star. Let's see the next energy. We have the Five of Swords. Ooh, okay. Somebody learned their lesson in the Four of Pentacles. So somebody around you learned their lesson about negativity and pessimism. I think somebody is really worried that they're going to lose a friend. Maybe not you, but I feel like somebody who had a lot of bravado, had a lot of self-esteem, is suddenly feeling awkward and worried, like they've made a mistake and now they're not so sure about their situation or it's almost like they've offended people or they've offended their friends. Let's see the next message. We have the Two of Wands, which is a change in perspective. Yeah, I think that this year, essentially, and this is beyond just Venus retrograde, I think that you're really getting a fresh start, Pisces. Jupiter in your first house is so positive. Essentially, with Jupiter in your first house until May, whatever is in your heart, whatever you want to manifest, you'll have the opportunity to do so. You'll have the opportunity to really, make it happen in your world, make it happen in your life. I think that you've been under the cloud of other old relationships and old friendships, and that has been very much dampening your experience from the past. And so now you're very much able to look forward or much more excited about the future, much more excited about where things are going, and a distance from the past, moving past the past. So this isn't so much, yes, you're still moving away from the past, but you've done the bulk of the work, and now you're bringing in new and having all these new experiences. Okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm glad I did this again because this is much more true to the energy. And stay tuned for the members extended. Thank you so much for watching. Have a nice day. Bye.